Ladies and gents, I'm the one and only DJ Storms. Welcome back to the channel here on YouTube.com. It is Saturday, June 13th, 2020, as we sit just 24 hours away from WWE Backlash, which of course is streaming live on the WWE Network tomorrow with the pre-show, of course, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We have a loaded Lightning Flash update here on tap for you. I'm not going to waste any time. I want to get straight into the advertisements. But before we get into the advertisements, of course, I will be going back to work next week, as you already know. I start my online class on the 23rd. I am going to try my best to make sure that they do not stifle the momentum, because I have been on a monumentous roll since the start of the pandemic, and I'm only continuing to get better. I know that may piss some people off, but you know what? When have I not pissed people off? But nevertheless, please follow me on Twitter at HistoryMakerDJS. Follow me on Instagram and Periscope at the DJ Storms. Of course, add me on Facebook for collaborations and business inquiries. Please send me an email, StormsTakeOver@gmail.com. Like the official DJ Storms business page, and I may just send you an invite to join the official DJ Storms Posse group on Facebook. That is, all the links are in the description. If you guys missed the rewind for NXT TakeOver in your house, link is in the description. That did exceptionally well. That was probably my most viewed video since the rewind for WrestleMania. That's actually over 230 views right now, and it currently has 35 likes. So if you want to go check that out, if you missed it, please go check that out. Link is in the description, as well as the rundown for WWE Backlash with Jay Alletto. Shout out to him if you want to go follow him on Twitter. It's JayAllletto. Him and me, we dissected everything going on tomorrow night at Backlash. I actually thought that wasn't going to do very well, but it actually did fairly well. I believe it's almost at 30 likes, and it's over 120 views, so it actually did not suffer as much as I thought it would, considering the majority of the community doesn't really care about Backlash. But regardless of that, it actually did very, very well. Very happy to have had him on. Please go check that out. Please like the video. See if we can get this video to 30 likes. 30 likes. I know that maybe boosting the goal up a little bit, but hey, goals need to be boosted. Goals and deadlines need to be boosted. We need to keep on moving up. I got no backwards button. I only go forwards. Now, when you like, you need to comment. Comment down below. What are your thoughts on this week's weekly shows and the news, rumors, and reports? And of course, when you comment, then you got to hit that subscribe button, as I am on the road to 2,100. I believe we are about 50 away. So I want you guys to go hit that subscribe button, and when you hit that subscribe button, you gotta hit the notification bell with a huge coup de grace. That way you will know whenever I pop up on YouTube. Because whenever I pop up on YouTube, it is the best time to be on YouTube. It's the only time where you're gonna see this glorious sideburn chin strap combination, this beautiful quarantine mustache. Come on. Quit lying to yourselves. You know you can't wait until I upload a video because you want to see it. And of course, last but not least, Blue Riot Podcast. Shout out to the Blue Riot. Go follow him on Twitter at Blue Riot with 2 T's. Follow the podcast on Twitter at Blue Riot Pod. Him and me, we uploaded episode 10 of AEW Darkamite. And when we did that, we actually had a lot to talk about. The sarcasm and wittiness came out of the gates strong for the 10th episode of the Blue Riot Storms review and AEW Darkamite. We dissected everything going down this week, and we predicted what is to come at Fyter Fest as well. Next week we got episode 11, and we got another loaded episode of Dynamite. So please, if you want to go check it out, here's what I need you guys to do. I need you guys to go to wherever you find your podcasts, whether it be iTunes or Spotify or Podbean or Anchor. And I want you guys to go, and I want you to go and subscribe to the Blue Riot Podcast wherever you find your local podcast. The iTunes link is in the description if you want to go check it out. And you will be able to hear me, and you'll be able to hear Riot dissect everything AEW Dark and AEW Dynamite related. We may or may not do a review on Fyter Fest. I'll have to talk to him and see what we can set up, perhaps, because it is a 2-night event. I'm planning on doing 2 separate rewinds, one for night 1 and then one for night 2. And then, of course, we'll probably do the Fyter Fest AEW Blue Riot Storms review as well. That'll probably go up on Thursday, and then the rewind for part 1 will go up on Friday, and then part 2 will go up on the following Friday after the second night of Fyter Fest. We'll work it out. Nevertheless, the advertisements. So we're going to get straight into the festivities here, and I'm actually going to do something a little different. I'm going to start off with the news, rumors, and reports because there's a lot of news, rumors, and reports, and I got a lot to say on the news, rumors, and reports. Especially judging by the thumbnail, you can tell it is going to be a heated start to the Lightning Flash update. I figured I'd start off with this because it just caught my eye out of nowhere. It was on my Twitter timeline. And Charlotte Flair. I know no one wants to fucking talk about Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair, she has been up and down social media with multiple interviews, and this one really caught my eye. And I want to dissect this one first, and then we'll talk about some other Charlotte Flair interviews here to kick off the Lightning Flash update. So while speaking to Sportskeeda, Charlotte Flair stated that she wants to go after a men's title, but the big picture might not see that as a possibility. Yes, you heard that correctly. Charlotte Flair wants to go after a men's title. So now not only does she want to have a 16, 17, 18-time record as women's champion, now she needs a men's championship. As if she doesn't already have enough under her resume in just 6 years. So she stated, and I quote, "It's something that I want to pursue, but if you look at the big picture, when women are succeeding in different organizations all around the world, we're all succeeding and we're all winning from that. So for her to hold that accolade is just, we should support and be just extremely proud as a woman to see her do that, because when one's doing well, we're all doing well. And that is what has pretty much driven the women's revolution, is we work better in numbers. So it's not something that I think about right now, but I couldn't be more proud and happy for what she is doing for women around the world." End quote. First off, I know people are probably going to get thrown into disarray. Oh my God, why don't you like intergender wrestling? I never said I didn't like intergender wrestling. Matter of fact, I actually think it's a very innovative concept. I have enjoyed intergender wrestling, but here's the thing, and a lot of people don't really say this. Intergender wrestling, whether you want to admit it or not, has really been overexposed on the independent scene. Not in the major companies, but Impact as well. I don't consider Impact a major company. Impact's been dead for God knows how many years now. Intergender wrestling should be kept special. I feel as though before this pandemic, we heard about an intergender wrestling match every other week on the independent scene, to a point in time where it just became redundant. It became overexposed. It became just standard, just like everything else. For me, intergender wrestling should be kept special in all promotions, and when you want to bring it out, you got to bring it out, and you actually got to build up an actual story. You got to build up a story with importance. You got to build up a story with people that the crowd want to see. You don't just put it out there. I feel as though on the independent scene, they've just been putting intergender wrestling out there at every single independent show. I scroll through my Twitter timeline, and every single independent wrestling event that I see, no matter what city it may be in, I always see an intergender wrestling match. In all honesty, it's been overexposed, and it's been shoved down people's throats on the independent scene. You take a look at what we got at WrestleMania 34 with Kurt Angle, Stephanie McMahon, Ronda Rousey, and Triple H, and we got that taste of intergender wrestling in the WWE. Why was that so special? Because WWE rarely does something like that. And I never praise the WWE. I never praise the WWE like I'm about to praise him here. But in that case, WWE has kept that special. And you only bring it out during occasions when it's necessary. Occasions on a big stage, on a grand stage, with people that the audience genuinely is invested in, and people that the audience would genuinely find intriguing in that role. But with the independent scene, it seems as though they just throw intergender wrestling out there. And Charlotte, don't even get me started on Charlotte. I honestly do not know what I could say for however many minutes that I haven't already said about Charlotte. It's come to a point. It's come to a point where I'm legitimately contemplating buying a tape recorder, recording all my thoughts about Charlotte Flair on a tape recorder and just sitting here and drink my water, and I'll let the tape recorder do all the work for me for however long I talk about Charlotte Flair. I'm legitimately contemplating that. Charlotte Flair winning a men's championship. And to be quite honest with you, I'm gonna say this right now. The concept of women going after men's titles and men going after women's titles, this entire concept, it's really an outdated concept, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. And she's saying the bigger picture is preventing her from doing this. What bigger picture? If Vince McMahon wanted to, he would undoubtedly do that. To be quite honest, I'm actually going to be surprised if Vince doesn't do this after he hears this interview. Whenever he hears this interview. Like, I love Tessa Blanchard, but in no way, shape, or form did Tessa Blanchard need to win the Impact World Championship. This is why we have divisions. This is why we have a main event scene, a mid-card division, a tag team division, and a women's division. We don't need to flip-flop people from all of these divisions. Same thing with Otis. Otis is a tag team wrestler right now. He's not a singles wrestler. I don't understand why he won Money in the Bank. It has nothing to do with someone's gender. It has nothing to do with someone's appearance. It just has to do with common logic. Why do we need this? Why do we need this? We have already had so much for the women's revolution. We've already had so much get thrown in our faces with this women's revolution, and a lot of it is just WWE's marketing ploy, because WWE doesn't care about women's wrestling. If they did, then the women's division on Raw and SmackDown wouldn't be in the shape that it is now. And then she has the audacity to come out in 2 separate other interviews and say, "Oh, I'm the hardest working female in the WWE, which is why I'm on all 3 shows." What makes you think you work harder than Asuka or Rhea Ripley or Io Shirai, Tegan Nox, Sasha Banks, Ember Moon? What makes you think you work harder than any other one of those individuals? The reason why you're on all 3 shows is because of the blatant favoritism towards you. It's clear as day. Especially after what happened on Monday Night Raw, where we literally got over an hour of Charlotte on Monday Night Raw. Which I'm not going to go too in-depth to when we get to the Monday Night Raw review of the Lightning Flash update, because I really can't drive myself to the verge of an aneurysm. I'm probably going to end up doing that anyway. It's going to go 2 hours and I'm still going to be talking about Charlotte. Then she comes out and she says, "Aren't I always supposed to be on top?" No, you're not! You're not always supposed to be on top. If you're always on top, then where are the opportunities for someone like Shayna Baszler, or Bianca Belair, or Asuka, Sasha, or anyone in NXT? Where are those opportunities? Where are the opportunities for those individuals to get to your level? If you're always on top, and you're always here, and you're always hogging the spotlight, where are the other opportunities for women that want to get to that level? John Cena has come out numerous times in interviews and he's said that the concept of the guy, or in Charlotte Flair's case, the woman, it's gone. It's dead. It's an outdated concept. It doesn't work. It's not about one singular person drawing for a division or a championship or a show. It's about the overall quality. It's about 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 people all at once, collectively making the show watchable. Charlotte Flair alone is not going to draw jack shit. Charlotte Flair has drawn people away. We've seen it in the ratings on NXT. We thought that, Vince McMahon thought that Charlotte Flair was going to draw ratings for NXT. She actually did the opposite. She drew people away. It's the same thing here. Where is the opportunities? Why is it that we're still talking about Charlotte Flair now, and we're still talking about Charlotte Flair in the position that she's still in? 12-time women's champion, winner of the Royal Rumble, first ever women's main event, first woman to win inside Hell in a Cell, ended Asuka's undefeated streak. All these accomplishments in just 6 years with the company, and now more than likely she's going to be thrusted into a Raw Women's title match with Asuka after Backlash. It's even more ridiculous. The fact that Liv Morgan and Shayna Baszler, they've been off of television for a month. Bianca Belair, she's been off of Raw for 2 months. Charlotte Flair is getting 3 shows. 3 shows. Ever since WrestleMania. Ridiculous. Look at the women. The women that have been sacrificed and shafted for Charlotte Flair, we could legitimately build our own women's division around that could literally be better than Stardom. Listen to these names. Sasha, Asuka, Ember, Rhea, Shayna, Bianca, Mia, Ruby, Sarah Logan, Liv Morgan. The list goes on and on and on. All of those women pinned, tapped out, shafted, held back because WWE can't help but push Charlotte in everyone else's face. She has the audacity to come out and say that she wants to challenge for a men's championship. She's the hardest working female in the division, and isn't she always supposed to be on top? Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? People legitimately, I saw all across my Twitter timeline, people were looking at this and they were legitimately laughing. They were laughing at how pathetic this is. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't know anymore. I should have brought 2 waters. I said it once and I'll say it again. I would rather them not even showcase Charlotte Flair on television until 2022. If Charlotte Flair is going to continue being showcased on television, she should be in positions where she's putting other people over, not in the championship title scene. I did a whole entire rant. On Charlotte Flair 6 months ago, back in January, when she was complaining about a fan complaint that didn't even exist. I'm going to... I don't even know. I really don't know what else to say. I don't know. I'm literally out of words. I'm out of words. I swear, I'm going to buy a tape recorder. I'm literally going to buy a tape recorder and record all my thoughts about Charlotte Flair on the damn tape recorder. I don't know what I could say that numerous amounts of people across the community haven't already said about Charlotte Flair. Whether you be a content creator, a YouTuber, a podcaster, someone on Twitch, or just a wrestling fan in general. We're going to move on. So, I got a report on Velveteen Dream, and I got some questioning to do here. Wrestle Talk reports that WWE has shut down the Velveteen Dream's main roster call-up. And I quote, "Our sources have confirmed that while Velveteen Dream was discussed as someone to potentially bring up, higher-ups in both WWE and down in NXT have made the call to keep the former North American champion with the black and gold brand for the time being." End quote. So I got one question. If you were going to keep the Velveteen Dream with NXT, then why did you have him lose at TakeOver in your house? Especially with the way that you built it up. I discussed this on the Rewind. You've been building the storyline since his return. He lost the North American Championship to Roderick Strong, taken off of television because of injury. He came back from injury. He was thrusted into a feud with the Undisputed Era, picking up where they left off, thrusted into an NXT title feud with Adam Cole, which resulted in the Backlash Brawl. After a 4-month-long storyline built up since February, and he lost his final opportunity to challenge for the title while Cole is still champion. Why did you have him lose? This is what I don't understand. And this is the mentality that I don't understand from the WWE. And I don't know if it was Triple H's decision. I don't know if it was Vince's decision, because you could tell that Vince is already reportedly unhappy with NXT. Vince is reportedly unhappy with NXT, and he could start taking over NXT now. He could start be hands-on with NXT, especially after Bruce Pritchard recently just took over Monday Night Raw. Paul Heyman was a scapegoat. You know that Bruce Pritchard was going to take over NXT just like that. I don't understand why you built up Velveteen Dream and you built that storyline the way that you did, and then you had him lose. Especially considering that now you're thrusting Karrion Kross into the division, or into the NXT title hunt, this early. And I don't understand why you're doing that this early. You see, we'll discuss that more when we get to NXT, but I don't understand that you're pretty much shafting Velveteen Dream. You're pretty much shafting guys like Velveteen Dream. You're pretty much shafting other guys like Keith Lee and Finn Balor. And you're going to sacrifice Adam Cole and his NXT Championship reign for Karrion Kross, when realistically Karrion Kross hasn't done anything. Hasn't done anything to warrant an NXT championship match. See, this is why I said that Finn Balor should have been the one. And I predicted Finn Balor after his victory over Damian Priest. The roles are being reversed now. Now they're setting up Finn Balor versus Keith Lee, and they're setting up Karrion Kross versus Adam Cole. It would have been much better if you had Karrion Kross go in there, and Karrion Kross faces off against Keith Lee, because then you got King Kong versus Godzilla in there, and Karrion Kross could have a nice, lengthy reign with the North American Championship, and then when the time's right, you could have Keith Lee beat Adam Cole, and then you could have Keith Lee in a position where he is NXT champion. He goes into 2021 as the NXT champion. Karrion Kross could say fuck the North American Championship. He could vacate the North American Championship, and you could have Karrion Kross say, I want the NXT Championship. And you could revisit the feud with Keith Lee and Karrion Kross, and now Keith Lee has to fight off Karrion Kross from taking another title from him, as opposed to the NXT North American Championship. He's got to fight Karrion Kross away from taking the NXT title off of him. You could have a tournament to crown a new North American champion. Johnny Gargano could possibly win the title there. Candice LeRae could be NXT Women's Champion at that time. Why not? I don't understand why you're putting Karrion Kross in this position. And it feels as though it's the blatant favoritism. It's the blatant favoritism of WWE looking at Karrion Kross and saying, oh my God, he looks like a world champion, let's give him the world championship. And that's a slap in the face to Adam Cole that it could possibly end in a match less than 10 minutes. You're going to take the title off of Adam Cole in that fashion after everything that you've built up Adam Cole to be? If Velveteen Dream wasn't going to win, then he was going to go up to the main roster. And if he wasn't going to get called up to the main roster, then why not have Velveteen Dream and Karrion Kross in a feud on NXT? And that could put Karrion Kross in a more credible position to take a title off of someone, and you could give that opportunity to Keith Lee. Keith Lee and Karrion Kross would have been the correct mid-card championship match for NXT TakeOver, should you have that TakeOver before SummerSlam. Realistically speaking, you're also shafting Finn Balor as well, because Finn Balor has the most momentum out of anyone. Look at the people that Finn Balor has beaten this year. Ilya Dragunov, Johnny Gargano, Marcel Bartel, Fabian Eichner, Alexander Wolf, Damian Priest, Cameron Grimes. He's run through everyone. Why not give him an NXT championship? It doesn't warrant a North American championship match. It warrants an NXT championship match. He's been winning and winning and winning. He's beaten everyone. Realistically, Finn Balor versus Adam Cole was the biggest match that you could have done for a TakeOver in August. But you're thrusting Karrion Kross into the title scene this early. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that, and I don't like that. And a lot of people were saying the same thing, that it was way too early for Karrion Kross. I even said it on the Rewind. Way too early for Karrion Kross. If you wanted to give him a championship, then you should have given him the North American Championship, because you could have done much more with the North American Championship and Karrion Kross, and you could have built up Finn Balor versus Adam Cole. You wouldn't have shafted Finn Balor like you shafted Velveteen Dream here. I still don't know why Velveteen Dream is not getting called up if he wasn't going to win, and I still don't know why Velveteen Dream didn't win the title at all. I have no idea what's going to happen. I don't know what they're doing with the Velveteen Dream. I really don't know why they're keeping Velveteen Dream in NXT if he wasn't going to win the NXT Championship. And now Karrion Kross, he's going to be in the NXT Championship title picture. They're rushing him and they're fast-tracking him to the NXT Championship. Where does the Undisputed Era go from here? Is the Undisputed Era going to remain in NXT? Because Kyle O'Reilly, he's not coming back anytime soon, because this pandemic ain't ending anytime soon, because he has diabetes. He can't be working there when he's got a weakened immune system. This pandemic and the entire mass gathering ban, that ain't going to end until next year. It ain't going to end until next year. So why are you planning on taking the title off of Adam Cole this early and giving it to Karrion Kross this early? Is it because that Vince wants Karrion Kross on the main roster and Triple H does not want Vince to take him away from NXT this early? If that was the case, then you could have put the North American title on him and he would have been fine. Because the NXT North American Championship is just as important and just as vital as the NXT Championship. It's still a championship in NXT. You're not going to take the title off of Adam Cole this early and put it on Karrion Kross when he's realistically done nothing. You could have given a match to Karrion Kross with Velveteen Dream, have him beat Velveteen Dream, and then have him go and face Keith Lee. Keith Lee versus Karrion Kross would have been much more credible, considering what Karrion Kross did to Tommaso Ciampa in 6 minutes. Regardless of whether that match was perfectly booked or not, and Bryan Alvarez did praise that match for being perfectly booked. Regardless, it's still way too early for him to be the NXT champion. And where does he go? Who does he drop it to? Is he going to drop it to Keith Lee when the time's right? Or is he going to go up to the main roster undefeated as the NXT champion? Is he going to vacate the NXT championship? NXT has really been on a downward spiral since WrestleMania. They have some interesting stuff. Don't get me wrong. NXT this week wasn't bad whatsoever, but the booking decisions, very, very questionable. And I don't like the fact that Velveteen Dream is being kept in NXT and not going up to the main roster, even though I don't want to see him on the main roster. But regardless of that, Velveteen Dream, he's not being called up. He's not being called up, and he didn't win the NXT Championship. I don't like that whatsoever. You're shafting Dream. You're shafting Finn Balor for Karrion Kross. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. So my next report, according to a report from Ringside News, Bray Wyatt is expected to return to SmackDown very soon. Bray, as The Fiend, is expected to face Braun Strowman prior to SummerSlam. And I quote, Ringside News has now learned that it is WWE's plan to run The Fiend versus Braun Strowman match prior to SummerSlam. Since Monster vs. Fiend seems like a pay-per-view matchup, Extreme Rules is the only option between Backlash and the biggest party of the summer, end quote. Now, a lot of people were questioning why Bray Wyatt didn't win the Universal Championship at Money in the Bank. So was I. And he should have. But, JoJo, she was due any day with their second kid, and she recently gave birth to their second kid, so Bray Wyatt, he wanted time away. He wanted time away to see JoJo give birth and to start raising and caring for their second child, which is understandable. That's fine. I understand that. Family man. No one's going to fault Bray Wyatt for wanting to take care of his second child. But at the same point in time, you're putting Braun Strowman against The Miz and John Morrison. And I've already, I don't know how many times I've said this, the upper mid-card and main event scene on SmackDown Live sucks. It sucks. To be blunt, it sucks. Here's what I don't understand. We got this Sheamus Jeff Hardy feud, and the feud hasn't been bad outside of that horrendous contract signing on SmackDown, which I'm going to rant on. But the feud hasn't necessarily been bad. It's been a decent feud. It's been decently built, but at the same point in time, you're sacrificing Sheamus's momentum for Jeff Hardy, and you're trying to build up Jeff Hardy for a possible world title run. What I don't understand is, why didn't you just keep Sheamus away from Jeff Hardy? And with all the wins that Sheamus has been accumulating, he was undefeated before his loss against Jeff Hardy for 5 months. Why didn't you put Sheamus against Braun Strowman at Backlash after all the wins that Sheamus has been accumulating? He's been dominant. He's been winning. Why didn't you put Sheamus against Braun Strowman for the Universal Championship at Backlash? Braun Strowman's terrible as it is, but a guy like Sheamus, I think that he could bring Braun Strowman to a pretty decent horse fight. He could bring Braun Strowman to a fairly decent match. It's the same thing with Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley sucks. Bobby Lashley's a waste of a paycheck, but I think that Bobby Lashley could actually put on a fairly decent match with Drew McIntyre if they allowed Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley to go out there and fight. Same thing with Braun Strowman and Sheamus. Maybe it would have made Braun Strowman's Universal title reign tolerable. I know that sounds shocking, but maybe it would have made Braun Strowman's Universal title reign a little bit tolerable. But no, instead, you give Miz and Morrison, who have only won one match in the last 2 months, you give them a Universal Championship opportunity, and now we sit here, and we are going to bear witness to what is a bathroom break of a Universal Championship title. Well, the entire pay-per-view is a bathroom break, but instead of actually putting some effort into not only Sheamus, but Braun Strowman and the Universal Championship title reign, instead of the Nickelodeon shit with the slime, and instead of these two adults, one is approaching 40, one is over 40, and Miz and Morrison doing high school-like pranks on Braun Strowman with baking soda in the water, smashing his car windshield, sliming Caleb Braxton in a spy van, Spy Kids ripoff right here. Instead of putting that as your world title program, you could have given us Sheamus and Braun Strowman, and you could have actually built a sense of severity between the two. You could actually have built a feud between two guys, two heavy hitters, two guys who will literally beat the shit out of you for the Universal Championship. I hope to God Bray Wyatt comes back. I hope to God he wins the Universal title from Braun Strowman. So, my next report comes from Wrestling Inc., and they've learned that WWE is reportedly working on new belt designs for some of their titles. WWE is working on revamping the NXT Championship, but they are planning on giving it a bigger design, and the US title is also getting a redesign according to the site. Now, I don't know how true this is. We could very well see a bigger NXT Championship. Possibly that means because Karrion Kross is in the title hunt now, which I'm still not a fan of. Now, the U.S. title, that's been rumored to get a redesign for a long time now. I think there's been a rumor that's come out every 6 months or so for the course of the last 2-3 years that has said, oh, the U.S. title's getting a redesign, U.S. title's getting a redesign, and it's never happened. So, in this case, with the WWE, I'm going to go by seeing is believing, and I'll believe it when I see it. So, I got news from Wrestle Inc.'s Raj Giri, and this will be my final report of the news, rumors, and reports before we get into the weekly show reviews and we talk about the 6 weekly shows that took place this week leading into Backlash. So Wrestling Inc.'s Raj Giri, not sure if I pronounced that right, he revealed that the recently aired set of TV tapings didn't go without a hitch. Shocking. Now, it was reported that the PC recruits were talked to like children in their last set of TV tapings, which a lot of people already ranted on in the community, so I'm not going to rant on that. This time, Kevin Dunn, a.k.a. Bucktooth Wonder, a.k.a. Timmy Turner, all grown up. Little side note, I actually love Fairly Odd Parents. That was actually my second favorite cartoon on Nickelodeon growing up as a kid. My first being SpongeBob. Little fun fact about me. But Kevin Dunn, Bucktooth Wonder, stopped the tapings multiple times. One instance was when MVP was cutting a promo and referred to the audience as NXT superstars. Dunn interrupted him and used the PA system, instructing him to refer to the audience as Performance Center recruits. Where do I start? Where do I even start? You're stopping the tapings midway through and using the PA system as if you're talking to high schoolers sitting in homeroom and instructing them to call them Performance Center. What is it with the management and the specifics? What is it? It's like they're in the army. It's like they're treating these people like they're in the army. Stand up straight. Look forward. Adjust your pants. Tie your shoes. Walk like this. Put one foot in front of the other. It's like Kevin Dunn is a drill sergeant, and you're treating the PC recruits and you're treating your employees like privates. I don't understand the mentality of the company wanting to micromanage everything. If it's not exactly how they want it, they throw hissy fits. Especially with the report that came out a year ago about Vince McMahon getting mad at Wade Barrett and Sheamus because they didn't bark like dogs during promo class. And now this? I'm at a loss for words. I'm at a loss for words when I read stuff like this. What is their mentality? What is their malfunction? This is laughable. This is laughable. They literally want. What's the difference? What's the difference if they call them NXT superstars or PC recruits? They're still appearing on NXT, aren't they? You're so focused on what people are saying during their own promos. You're so focused on the wrong thing. You're focused on changing names. You're focused on giving title belts redesigns. You're focused on MVP calling PC recruits NXT superstars when you should be focusing on the storylines and the feuds that you have on your weekly shows, trying to gain an audience back that is depleting by the week. Again, I don't know what else I could say that I haven't already said, and thousands of other content creators and podcasters haven't already said. To a point where this is the same incident as Charlotte Flair. I should legitimately just record all my thoughts on a tape recorder. I could sit here with a meal. I could sit here with breakfast. I could get a fried egg sandwich with a hash brown or home fries and, a nice toasted bagel. Nice toasted sesame bagel. For lunch, I could get some potato salad or egg salad or coleslaw. I could get a nice chicken teriyaki sandwich from Subway if they're open, if they're doing takeout. I don't know. I haven't been to Subway in 4 fucking months. I could get a nice T-bone steak. Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. I'm getting hungry right now. I'm getting hungry right now. We're like, what are we? We're like almost 40 minutes into the Lightning Flash. I'm getting hungry. I don't know. I think I'm going to get a T-bone steak for lunch after this. I think I'm going to get a T-bone steak. I could literally sit here with a 4-course meal. A nice tall bottle of Sprite. It's my favorite soda. I'm straight edge. I substitute Sprite for alcohol. Sprite's actually one of the healthiest types of sodas. There's no high fructose corn syrup in there, which is why I drink it. I don't drink Pepsi. I don't drink Coke. But I could get a nice tall glass of Sprite. 4-course meal. T-bone steak. Maybe some eggplant parm. Some linguine with marinara. Big meatball. Parmesan cheese. I'm really getting hungry now. Are you watering at the mouth yet? And I could literally sit here and eat my 4-course meal. And I could literally let the tape recorder do all the work for me whenever I talk about the current state of the WWE, the ridiculousness of management, and then the state of Charlotte Flair. That's what I should do. I think sometime during this summer, I'm going to do that. I'm legitimately going to get a tape recorder, record all my thoughts, and I'm going to sit here, let the tape recorder do all the work for me, and I'm going to eat a 4-course meal during one of the Lightning Flash updates for 2 hours. I don't care. I'm going to do it. You can quote this video right now. I will do it. So moving on, this actually wasn't even the first time the PA system was used, because the recruits were told to be more enthusiastic for Raw and 205 Live and main event after they were somewhat sluggish. Otis and King Corbin from last week actually had to be refilmed because WWE wanted Otis to take 4 spine busters from Corbin. So now you're focused on how many moves. Now you're focused on how many moves that someone is taking during a match. Oh, 4 spine busters, 20 wrist locks, 10 headlocks, 2 clotheslines, 5 punches, 4 body slams, 7 elbow strikes to the head, a diving splash off the top rope. Are you serious? Are you serious? What the fuck is wrong with these people? That's pretty much all I can say right now, because I literally don't know what else to say. What the fuck is wrong with these people? And on top of that, Fightful even came out and they reported that the talent still don't have chairs to sit on. I don't understand what their problem is with chairs. You can't give these individuals who are standing there for 12 hours during 3 sets of television tapings for 3 weeks, you cannot give them any chairs to sit on. If that's the case, if you're still going to have them stand, then why don't you just have them go back to live television? AEW's on live television. Why not have NXT, Raw, and SmackDown on live television? It would make shit a hell of a lot better. Holy shit. 40 minutes worth of a rant across 5 reports for the Lightning Flash. That's got to be a new record. This is going over 2 hours, I can already tell. This is going over 2 hours, I can already tell. For those of you that are still here, that have still stuck by me throughout this long, throughout all that, I'm already fucking sweating. I'm sweating. It's because of his facial hair. It's because of his facial hair. But I can't imagine myself without it. We're moving on to Monday Night Raw. It's supposed to be the go-home show for Backlash, and you have Charlotte Flair on the show for an hour. Plus, Asuka came out for her match with Charlotte. She was interrupted by Sasha and Bayley. Now, it's always good to see Sasha and Bayley, but why are they on the show? Why are they on the show, and why are they in this segment if they're not going to factor into anything Asuka related? So they bragged about winning the tag team titles. Asuka said that this was her ring before Charlotte came out. She said that you can get your victory lap in, but make it quick. So the Iconics then came out. They talked about their match at Backlash. Charlotte called Sasha and Bayley garbage, pretty much devaluing their win as tag team champions from last week. Big brawl broke out. Triple threat tag team match was made. I did not take any notes on what happened. We actually got a triple threat tag team match, so you pretty much gave away your Backlash match, but substitute Bliss and Cross for Charlotte and Asuka. You pretty much gave away the triple threat match at Backlash. And on top of this, can I just point out, why is it that we always have to have a 10 to 15 minute long-winded promo to start off Raw? How about you start off Raw a wrestling show? How about you start off a wrestling program with, I don't know, a wrestling match? I think that would be a nice little changing of the guards, and not many people would complain, even if it is Charlotte. So Asuka tapped out Billie Kay, and then Charlotte took out Asuka. Way to make your Raw Women's Champion look strong when she's got a title match on Sunday. And then they have the audacity to still continue to promote Charlotte and Asuka later on in the night. And we still got that match. So Seth Rollins makes his way out to the ring. So he asked Byron Saxton for his headset. Nice and calmly, just asked Byron Saxton for his headset. He said, "Hi, Ray," because Ray was being interviewed from his home. So Ray said, "What a son of a bitch." Ray said that when he returns, there's a 619 with the name Monday Night Messiah on it. Rollins says that Ray had a chance to walk away a hero, but he continues to spread this misinformation and lies. Rollins then invited Rey Mysterio and his son to Raw next week to show that his sacrifice was for the greater good. And then out of nowhere, Aleister Black just lunged. He lunged out of nowhere at Seth Rollins like Superman. He didn't touch the table. He cleared the table perfectly, lunged at Seth Rollins, and then they went to commercial. We got Black and Carrillo versus Theory and Murphy. Black with the big knee to Murphy for the win. It didn't even go 3 to 4 minutes. Rollins then came out wearing Rey Mysterio's mask. Theory and Murphy attacked. They laid out both men. Rollins stomped out Black, and Rollins and his stable stood tall. Meaningless tag team match after a fairly decent segment between Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio, which is probably the best thing on Monday Night Raw as we speak. I don't understand why Theory and Murphy took the loss here. I don't understand why we got this match again. And I really hope they don't do this feud to death. I heard some people saying that it's going to be some type of combination of 3 versus 3 every single week. I hope not. I hope not. I hope we don't get that. You know, with Bruce Pritchard taking over Monday Night Raw now, we could very well get that. It's only a matter of time before Bruce takes over NXT. Goodbye, Triple H. Christian. He hosted the Peep Show with Edge. This was probably the best thing about Monday Night Raw. Christian, he said that he thinks Edge is running on fumes. Edge, he answered back by saying, "Do you ever stop to think what I'm going through emotionally? Pardon me if this Edge has self-doubt. Do you realize what the pressure is like to live up to a match that's being dubbed the greatest wrestling match ever? That's like dropping me at the bottom of Mount Everest, no gear, no crew, and saying, okay, climb it, go." Christian says that all he's hearing is excuses. And he said if Edge isn't going to show up at Backlash, then go home. And Christian then said, "That's exactly what I want to see. We believe in you. You can do it. Orton then came up on the screen, and he's hearing only what they think and not what they know. Orton asks, what are you going to do when you don't live up to those expectations? He says at Backlash, the redemption of Edge is over. Edge says, no, it's not. And he walks away. The fact that they're dubbing this the greatest wrestling match ever is cheesy as shit. Cheesy as shit. Should not even be happening. And it's quite frankly a slap in the face to all these great matches that they've had over the years. But this segment was amazing. This segment was spectacular. I cannot say anything bad about this segment. The promo work from Edge and Orton ever since the Royal Rumble, and the fact that they got Christian in here, beautiful. This was beautifully done. The intensity was there. The emotion was there. The realism was there. And that's something that is definitely needed in more feuds when it comes to the main roster. This was an awesome segment. This was probably the best thing about the night. This is probably one of the only highlights of the show. It was this and then the Triple Threat number 1 contenders match. I did not take any notes on the decathlon. Between the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits. Therefore, I will not be talking about it. Matter of fact, now that Bruce Pritchard has taken... I mentioned him like 5 times already. I'm legitimately contemplating, and I think I'm going to do this. I am not going to review Raw or SmackDown next week. I'm not. I'll watch it. I'll watch it to make myself aware, and I'll be tweeting about it, but I am not going to take any notes on it. I'm not going to take any notes, and I'm not going to review it next week on the Lightning Flash Update. It's going to save me. It's going to save me 35 to 40 minutes on the Lightning Flash Update. Guarantee it. I'll probably end up going 2 hours anyway, like I always do, because I got so much to say, and I got so much to say, and I just can't keep my mouth shut. I just can't keep my mouth shut. So, Apollo Crews then came out. He was interrupted by Andrade and Garza. Owens then attacked both men before the bell. So then we got a triple threat match, which was actually very good. After this, you could have turned the show off. So Garza and Andrade, they continued to double team Owens. Garza and Andrade eventually got into it, which led to Zelina Vega getting injured. Owens with a senton on Garza, but that was broken up by Andrade. Cannonball to Andrade. Cannonball to Garza. Andrade fought out of the clutches of Owens. Double knees to Garza. Double knees to Owens. Super kick to Andrade by Angel Garza. Super kick to Garza by Owens. Frog splash on Andrade for a very close 2 count. Andrade and Garza got into a chop off, which looked brutal. Owens with a tope con hero over the top, taking out both men. Garza locked in a modified calf crusher, but Owens got to the ropes. Andrade kicked Owens off of Garza after the stunner, and he pinned Garza to win the match. So now Andrade is being put into a match with Apollo Crews, which I think this is probably his first actual victory. This is probably his first actual victory on Raw, or in WWE, period, in at least 3 months. And now he's being put against Apollo. More likely than not, he's going to take the pin. Going to take the pin against Apollo, and Apollo Crews is going to continue his United States Championship title reign. Andrade, even in this United States Championship role, is in such a shit position. Kevin Owens, more likely than not, is Apollo Crews' next challenger after Backlash, which I wouldn't mind. VIP Lounge with Bobby Lashley. Drew McIntyre came out instead, said that MVP will teach Lashley about 0 world titles he's won. Lashley actually tried for the sneak attack. McIntyre headbutted MVP, and the Raiders and the Profits came out. We had the Viking Raiders versus Bobby Lashley and MVP. I did not give a shit about this match. We had Bobby Lashley winning with the full Nelson, and then we had the Profits trying to get Bobby Lashley off of Eric. Drew McIntyre with the Claymore, and Drew McIntyre stood tall and said it's going to be a goddamn war. I hope it is. I hope it is. I do. I genuinely hope we get a decent match between Drew and Lashley. Charlotte and Asuka. Was it a bad match? No. It wasn't a bad match whatsoever, but the fact of the matter is that you have Nia Jax coming out midway through, and you're literally having Nia Jax distract Asuka, and you're pinning the Raw Women's Champion with Charlotte after Charlotte just lost the NXT Women's Championship to Io Shirai, even though she wasn't even pinned, which I expected it, because obviously you're not gonna have Io Shirai pin Charlotte Flair. So Sasha Banks and Bayley came out to join the commentary team. Charlotte and Asuka started tossing each other into the barricade. We had a big boot to Asuka before the Iconics came out. They attacked Bayley and Sasha going into commercial. Bayley to back suplex for a 2. Big missile drop kick by Asuka. German suplex and a hip attack. Flair with the moonsault to Asuka off the barricade. Asuka caught Charlotte with a code breaker for a 2. Spear by Flair for a 2. Nia Jax, of course, got involved. Charlotte delivered the big boot for the win. Nia with the Samoan drop to Asuka to end the show. Now we're going to have to sit through Asuka versus Charlotte Flair again. And more likely than not, we're going to see Charlotte Flair win the Raw Women's Championship from Asuka. I'm telling you right now, the tape record, I need, please, in the comments, please, direct me to the cheapest tape recorder possible. So that way I can record my thoughts and I can preserve my voice. So that way my fucking throat is not going to be scratchy at the end of every single video that I do for 2 hours. Please, direct me to the cheapest tape recorder pronto. AEW Dark. Moving on to something that I actually enjoy talking about. This is actually a very good episode of AEW Dark. Gotta switch gears now. I would actually go so far as to say this was probably the best AEW Dark during this pandemic era, especially with the last 3 matches. The last 3 matches actually were very good, especially that main event. So, Low Rider and Fuego del Sol. Fuego del Sol, of course, is Cage from KBW. That was a YouTube wrestling series down south, and I used to watch that as a kid, so shout out to KBW, and shout out to Fuego del Sol. I'm very proud of him. Very proud that he's living his dream. He got a chance to compete for a worldwide company like All Elite Wrestling. So they took on SCU. Very academic match. SCU wins with SCU later. I don't necessarily know what they're building towards. I can definitely see the singles run of Scorpio Sky starting in the summer of 2020, and I could definitely see the Addiction, which is Frank Kazarian and Christopher Daniels, possibly getting one last tag team run in All Elite Wrestling before they eventually hang up the boots, because they're both pushing 50. Lee Johnson versus 5, aka Alan Angels. This was actually a fairly decent match. We had Alan Angels join the Dark Order. He's been on a losing streak. Now he's a winner in the Dark Order. So 5 threw Johnson into the post, shoulder first. We had the left arm of Johnson targeted by 5. Johnson with a lariat turning 5 topsy-turvy. We had Johnson with a big tope con hero over the top, taking out 5. Blue Thunderbomb for a 2. We had a double boot backstabber, which looked like it could legitimately pop someone's shoulders out of socket, by 5 for the win. Decent match, and then afterwards, the Dark Order attack. 5 isn't going anywhere, but it's nice to see the Dark Order gaining some momentum behind them and adding to their faction. Musa and Brady Pierce versus Proud and Powerful. Nothing too special here. Street Sweeper for the win. I can definitely see Proud and Powerful in the tag team title hunt by the end of the year. Anthony Katina and Shug D, a.k.a. Pineapple Pete, versus the Butcher and the Blade. Butcher and the Blade, they absolutely routed Pete and Katina. Full death for the win, leading into their matchup with FTR the following night on AEW Dynamite. Zach Clayton versus QT Marshall. I've said it once and I say it again. This storyline with QT Marshall and Allie, it's not working. It's not clicking. They're trying way too hard to make it the Otis and Mandy Rose storyline of All Elite Wrestling, and it's not working for either individual. I'd much rather continue seeing them push the Natural Nightmares, who are actually getting a tag team title opportunity next week, and I'll explain why when we get to the Dynamite review. So we had a nice back and forth between Clayton and QT. Big Enziguri. Power slam by Clayton for a 2. QT actually accidentally ran into Brandy. Allie actually faked an injury, which distracted QT. Allie then grabbed Clayton's leg, which allowed QT to hit the QT cutter for the win. Obviously, gaining more momentum for them into their tag team title match next week. Unfortunately, I do believe that Allie's going to cost them. I don't know where this is leading to. I don't know who Allie's behind. I'm not sure if she's still behind the Butcher and the Blade or not. But I do not like this storyline whatsoever. It's cheesy, it's rushed, and it feels unnecessary. It feels out of place, honestly. Sonny Kiss versus Christopher Daniels. This match wasn't bad. It was a decent match, but holy shit. Holy shit. Sonny Kiss's screams. Fucking annoying. And I mean fucking his screams and his yelps. It's probably the most annoying thing on AEW. Every single time I see him. He's not bad in the ring. He's athletically gifted, but his selling sucks. And I cannot stand the yelps and the screams. Literally, he does it at every single offensive maneuver that he takes. You see Isaiah Cassidy, and he does a yelp and a scream. He doesn't do that in every match. Sonny Kiss does it in every match at every single offensive maneuver that he takes. And honestly, it hampered the match down from what it could have been. It wasn't a bad match, but I just couldn't get into it because of the simple fact that his yelps and his screams are making me want to literally pull my beard hair out. I compare his flamboyancy to Velveteen Dream all the time. His flamboyancy does not make me want to root for him. His flamboyancy and his charisma makes me want to punch him in the face. I don't know if it's his character or not, but I cannot get behind Sonny Kiss. So Sonny was in control from the beginning portions of this match until Christopher Daniels, he came back with an exploder. Big belly to back. We had a STO and a crossface. Kiss, he was able to get to the ropes. Sonny Kiss with a slingshot split for a 2. Uranagi. Sonny Kiss got caught with Angel's Wings for the win, and Christopher Daniels wins. I can definitely see Christopher Daniels challenging Cody for the TNT Championship next week, considering that Jake Hager, he's getting the match at Fyter Fest. Brandon Cutler and Peter Avalon versus Jurassic Express. Cutler got lit up by Luchasaurus. Marco with a wheelbarrow senton for a 2. Avalon was wearing down stunt before Luchasaurus got the hot tag. Spin kicks galore. Marco stunt he was tossed into both men. We had a big splash to Avalon for a 2. Springboard elbow on Luchasaurus by Brandon Cutler for a 2. Cutler was taken out with a springboard flipping bulldog and a double chokeslam moonsault combo for the win. Decent tag team match here. Jurassic Express win. Cutler and Avalon, that's all but confirmed for Fyter Fest. And Marco Stunt, he got distracted by Leva Bates. He's got some good taste in women. And Leva Bates, hit me up. Sorry, I had to channel my inner Sammy Guevara right there. Robert Anthony versus Jon Moxley. This was a damn good match. This was actually a rematch from a match that they had 10 years ago. Very happy that Jon Moxley is actually appearing on Dark, and this could possibly set up Dark to be AEW's third official hour of television when we eventually get that later on in this television deal. Probably not now during this pandemic era. So Moxley with a suicide dive. Moxley with a capture suplex for a 1. Moxley with the X-Plex. Anthony came back with a reverse side slam into the Ramiro special. Big lariat turning Anthony inside out. Anthony with the Death Valley driver for 2. Anthony got powerbombed out of the air. Chicken wing facebuster for 2. Moxley then put in a Texas cloverleaf and wrenched back, sat down, all the while Taz and Brian Cage, they were over on commentary, and they were hyping up Jon Moxley and hyping up Brian Cage even more, eventually building towards that matchup at Fyter Fest. And Jon Moxley makes Robert Anthony tap out. Damn good match. Very good Dark. And I'm very much interested to see where Jon Moxley and Brian Cage are going to go and how their matchup at Fyter Fest plays out. And if there's one person I would love them to sign, I would definitely love them to sign Robert Anthony, because Robert Anthony, he's damn good. He's a damn good wrestler, and he can give you a damn good match when you pair him with the right talent. So I would say very good episode of AEW Dark leading into Dynamite. AEW Dynamite. This was actually a great show. We got a lot of great shit on this specific episode of Dynamite. We started off with FTR versus the Butcher and the Blade. So the Butcher and the Blade, they isolated Cash Wheeler midway through, tagged to Dax Hardwood. Big backdrop suplex, brainbuster to the Blade for a 2. We had a double draping DDT to the Butcher, big superplex, big splash combo for a 2. We had a modified Uranagi on Hardwood for a 2. The Goodnight Express, a.k.a. the Shatter Machine, Goodnight Express to the Butcher, and then a Spike Pile Driver for the win. Old school tag team wrestling this was. Very good match. Did not need any crazy high spots and flips. Straightforward, classic tag team wrestling. That's what made this match. Great stuff here from FTR. I didn't think that they were going to put FTR's debut simply on a random episode of Dynamite. I actually thought they were going to save this for Fyter Fest, Butcher and the Blade versus FTR at Fyter Fest, and they were actually going to build up this match and build up the Butcher and the Blade. It would have given a spotlight to the Butcher and the Blade. It would have given a spotlight to FTR, but regardless, still, classic tag team match, old school, very good. Love the story being told in the ring. FTR looks great, and the eventual match with the Young Bucks is going to be great as well. Young Bucks came out and they introduced themselves, said they've carried the tag team division on their backs for the last decade and a half. Butcher attacks. We had Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc get into it. Big brawl. We had the Bucks, FTR, and Hangman and Omega stand tall to end this segment. Next week, we got Hangman and Omega taking on the Natural Nightmares for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Now, why are they getting a tag team title opportunity? Simple. 2 reasons. Number 1, Natural Nightmares, they're ranked number 2. They're undefeated. They're like 6-0. They've been winning and winning and winning and winning. Why not give them a tag team title match? And on top of that, Hangman and Omega, they're catching up on lost time. Hangman and Omega, they're catching up on lost time for not defending the tag team titles for 3 months because of this pandemic, and Hangman was quarantined in California. So they defended it against the Super Bad Death Squad. Now they're defending it against the Natural Nightmares, and then they defended against the Best Friends at Fyter Fest. This is all part of the story. It makes sense. Natural Nightmares are undefeated, number 1. This catches up Hangman and Kenny on lost time for not defending the titles, and it adds to the story. It's going to add to the eventual heel turn for Hangman and the eventual match that's going to take place at All Out. Why not? So then we have Penelope Ford and Nyla Rose versus Chris Statlander and Hikaru Shida. I was worried about this because I genuinely thought to myself that, oh my God, we're going to get another sloppy, uncoordinated mess of a women's tag team match here on AEW. But this was actually very good. This did not have any slip-ups. This did not have any fuck-ups. Everything was clean. Everything was crisp. The only thing that I didn't like was the ending, and I'm questioning the ending. So, we had Shida. She got the hot tag. We had a big knee to the gut. We had a knee to the face on Penelope Ford. And then we had a big missile dropkick, brainbuster for a 2. Standing moonsault by Chris for a 2. We had a roundhouse kick to Nyla. Stunner to Chris. Superplex off the top by Shida. And an axe kick by Chris. But Nyla kicked out. Nyla then draped both women over the top rope and did a double diving knee off the top rope to both women. We had a big Falcon Arrow to Ford for a 2. Statlander then got taken out. Or she took out Sabian, excuse me. Penelope was then given the title by Nyla, and Penelope hit Shida over the cranium with the championship and then delivered the perfect plex for the win in a very good women's tag team match. But Shida was pinned. They pinned the women's champion. Now, why did they do that? I don't like champions losing. I hate that. I hate champions losing, and Penelope Ford, she hasn't necessarily been a loser, but she did lose at at Double or Nothing. That's number one. And number two, on top of that, I understand that you wanted to get Penelope Ford in the women's championship title picture. I actually predicted that. I actually predicted that that was going to happen either in July or in August, but I didn't think that it was going to be Shida's first championship title defense. I thought that they were going to have a rematch with Nyla at Fyter Fest. Now, could they still do that? Perhaps. We could possibly get Penelope Ford versus not Chris Statlander, Hikaru Shida on night 1, and then Hikaru Shida versus Nyla Rose on night 2. We could have 2 women's championship matches back-to-back. They could do that. They could build Fyter Fest as a big show. I definitely wouldn't mind that. They could do that. They could possibly have just Penelope Ford fight Hikaru Shida. Now, I hate that they pinned the champion, because I don't like champions losing, but this is the first time that Hikaru Shida's lost in 3 months. And on top of that, she didn't lose clean. You see, in WWE, when champions lose, they lose clean every single week, and it's a straight-up loss. It's a straight-up loss. They lose clean, and it's one champion every other week. But with AEW, you don't see that. You don't see that because they actually keep their champions special. You see what they do with Jon Moxley. You saw what they were doing with Hangman and Omega. The only other time that the women's champion's been pinned, I believe, was when they had Riho lose to Emi Sakura leading into that matchup at Full Gear. And she didn't lose clean here. Did not Chris Statlander, did Hikaru Shida. Remember, Penelope Ford hit Shida with the belt and then delivered the perfect plex. So I understand what they did there. And I actually had no problem with them actually making it a storyline where Penelope Ford kind of got a fluky win. She had to cheat to win, and now she gets this women's championship opportunity. She bent the rules, and now Hikaru Shida needs to overcome the villainous Penelope Ford and try and keep her from bending the rules again. I understand what they were going for there, but I don't know. Something about that, I question the ending. I'm still questioning the ending. I don't know what's going to happen there. Riho still hasn't gotten her rematch. Nyla Rose has to get her rematch. I don't really like the fact that they're kind of shafting some people from getting their rematches and giving it to others, even if they have investment in Penelope Ford. So the Inner Circle, they took on the Best Friends with Orange Cassidy. Inner Circle attacked before the bell even rang. Best Friends, they regained control with a couple of topes. Spear to Ortiz. Cassidy got the tag. Cassidy with the suicide dive, crossbody to Ortiz. Satellite DDT to Santana. Hager then ended up taking out Trent. Cannonball by Santana to Orange Cassidy. Best Friends took out Hager and Santana, and Cassidy rolled up Ortiz for the win. We had a fun match here. And then the Inner Circle attacked afterwards. Chris Jericho, he was on commentary from the beginning of the show to now. He brought out a bag of blood oranges. Orange Cassidy was actually busted open right here, and the blood was dripping down the side of his face. Jericho hit Orange Cassidy with the bag of oranges and said that Blood Orange Cassidy has just been juiced. Only Chris Jericho can get hitting someone with a bag of blood oranges over. Only Chris Jericho. Only him. I can't wait to see this. This is the match that I never even knew that I wanted. Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho. Whatever happens between these two at Fyter Fest, I think it's going to be great. And I think that it's going to get both men over. And to be quite honest, I don't even care who wins. Even though I think Chris Jericho is going to win. Because Chris Jericho, he still hasn't gotten his rematch for the AEW World Championship. I'm surprised they haven't gotten that out of the way yet. They'll probably get that out of the way sometime after Fyter Fest. So we had MJF and Billy Gunn. They got into a war of words, which eventually led to Wardlow stepping in. And Billy Gunn and Wardlow, they stared down. And that was pretty much that. MJF is great, obviously. Sammy Guevara versus Colt Cabana. This was decent. Decent match, but ultimately nothing special. Nothing you're going to go back and rewatch. This was probably the worst match of the night. Not to say it was bad, but it really wasn't that good. Sammy Guevara, he was caught with a bionic elbow, the flying apple, and a double jump splash for a 2. We had a big moonsault by Colt Cabana for a 2. Colt Cabana, even at his age, can do a great moonsault. Better than Charlotte Flair. Sammy Guevara ended up catching him with the go-to hospital for the win, and that was that. Afterwards, the Dark Order came out, and the Dark Order OGs came out. Stu Grayson and Evil Uno are back. there are your new AEW World Tag Team Champions. It's either going to happen at the end of July or the beginning of August. Best Friends, I know Blue Riot's watching this, and he's going to be like, no, Best Friends. I said it on the Blue Riot podcast. I'm sorry, man. The Best Friends are not going to win the AEW World Tag Team titles. The Dark Order are going to be the ones to take the titles off of Kenny and Hangman, either at the end of July or the beginning of August. Sorry, man. So they are back, and they came out to help Colt Cabana. They helped Colt Cabana up, and Colt Cabana actually went into Mr. Brody Lee's office after the next commercial break. So I don't know what they're playing there with Colt Cabana, but I have no problem with them telling that story. It looks like the Dark Order, they're recruiting another member. So Hardy then came out, and he said that he respects Sammy, and he said that he is the future of AEW, but in order to reach his full potential, he needs to get away from Chris Jericho. We then had 3 different versions of Hardy. We had the Matt Hardy version 1. We had him coming out, a matter of fact, if you had a little bit more of my Matt tributes. And then we had Broken Matt Hardy, Damascus, come out. He chased Sammy Guevara away, and that was that. Next week, we got Billy Gunn versus MJF. We got another TNT Championship title match. We got Le Sex Gods versus the Best Friends, and this is for the #1 contendership that the Best Friends earned. So the Best Friends are obviously going to beat the Sex Gods. Calm down, Riot. I know you were going insane on Blue Riot podcast. You were like, oh my God, I'm scared that the Sex Gods are going to win. They're not. They're not. This is all part of their plan to get the Best Friends more over and continue to build them as credible challengers. So Riot, relax. Then we have the Superbad Death Squad taking on the Young Bucks next week. Should be great. Moxley, he was interviewed. And he said that he's pissed that Taz was getting under his skin. And he's pissed that anyone thinks that they can beat him for the AEW World Championship. Taz came in before Brian Cage attacked Moxley from behind, tossed Moxley onto a car, and that was that to end the segment. They have done a beautiful job at building up Jon Moxley and Brian Cage. Simple, effective, straightforward, nothing complex, nothing crazy. Taz has played his role beautifully. Brian Cage coming out there just beating the shit out of everyone. Taz getting in Moxley's face. He's a great mouthpiece for Brian Cage. Brian Cage doing what Brian Cage does best. Go in there and raise hell. And that's exactly what he did. Brian Cage raised hell. Threw Jon Moxley onto a car. Great stuff right there. I can't wait for this match at Fyter Fest. I can't wait to see what Brian Cage does against a guy like Jon Moxley. This is going to be a fight. I can't wait for it. Mark Quinn versus Cody for the TNT Championship. This only went about 10 minutes, but they told a very good story. I love the story that they told with Mark Quinn being as intense as ever. Mark Quinn went in there and he gave it his all. He put out every single possible ounce of energy that he had. But in doing so, and I love the story here, in doing so, he injured his knee more times than not. He did enziguris, he did topes, he did standing shooting star presses, he did Fosby flops, and every single time he was clutching at his knee. He injured his knee, the same knee that he injured 3 weeks ago when he had that 6-man tag team match alongside Joey Janela with the Young Bucks and Matt Hardy. It was all in the knee. All in the knee. And that is what I loved about this. Every single move, every single offensive move that he did, he was constantly clutching at his knee. He delivered a 450 on the ramp to Cody. Cody then caught Quinn in an ankle lock as Quinn was coming off for a shooting star press. Modified ankle lock, bent the ankle back, and you could tell it was brutal. Mark Quinn taps out. Very, very good match. Told a great story. People are going to know who Mark Quinn is now. And for people that are saying, oh, Cody's just doing this just to bury the mid-card, what are you watching? What are you watching? You weren't complaining when John Cena was doing this. You weren't complaining when Seth Rollins was doing this. Come on. Get it out of your fucking system. Cody Rhodes has been one of the most selfless individuals since the start of All Elite Wrestling. Put over Jericho. Put over MJF. Gave Archer a great match. Archer's going to be just fine. Now he has the TNT Championship. And the winner of Cody versus whoever for the TNT Championship down the line, and the winner that eventually defeats Cody and wins the TNT Championship is going to be elevated to a position further up the card than Cody. This could be Cody's only championship reign in All Elite Wrestling. Afterwards, we had Jake Hager coming out. He attacked Arn and Cody. Private Party and Matt Hardy, they got into it to take out Jake Hager. Inner Circle got into it as well. And we had Cody challenging Jake Hager for a match at Fyter Fest for the title. And that was that. Now, why are they doing this? Why are we having Jake Hager versus Cody for the championship at Fyter Fest? I thought that they were going to do it next week, but considering what happened with Jon Moxley at that one episode of Dynamite, I believe it was on April 15th, I do believe that that kind of left a bad taste in everyone's mouth about Jake Hager, and I'm guessing they want to put Jake Hager here with Cody to kind of wash the shitty taste out of that horrendous matchup with Jon Moxley and Jake Hager out of everyone's mouth, and they want to give Jake Hager a good championship match with Cody, which I definitely don't mind. We'll see how it plays out. I mean, Cody, every single time Cody steps into the ring, you know that Cody's going to tell a great story in the ring. I'm pretty sure that they could redeem Jake Hager. We'll see how that plays out. But overall, great episode of Dynamite. Outside of a few things here and there, they're building very nicely towards Fyter Fest. I can't wait to see what they do there. NXT. It wasn't a bad show whatsoever, but the direction that they're moving in with some of the storylines going into the summer, which more likely than not will culminate at the TakeOver in August, should they do one. Although I have been hearing rumors that they're probably looking to do a special on USA around the same time that All Elite Wrestling is doing Fyter Fest to try and combat All Elite Wrestling, because why not? So the Undisputed Era, they kicked off the show. They said that it doesn't matter what's next, no one will be able to beat me. Adam Cole, of course, is talking. Dexter Lumis, now this was actually funny. Dexter Lumis kept appearing behind the plexiglass, and Roddy kept pointing him out, and when he turned around, when everyone else turned around, he wasn't there. That was hilarious. Dexter Lumis and his mind games. Dexter Lumis is amazing at what he does. He plays his role so well. Dexter Lumis plays his role so well, and I'm actually very, very happy that they're continuing to push Lumis in this current role, because Lumis, he's definitely got a bright future if they continue to put him in this position. So we had Mia Yim and Keith Lee versus Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae. So Mia Yim and Keith Lee, they were in control going into commercial. Lee came in, hoisted up both Candice and Johnny. We had an Enziguri DDT combination by LeRae and Johnny. Mia Yim got into it with Johnny. And this is another incident where intergender wrestling where I didn't mind, and it was actually innovative. We had a Lion Salt by LeRae for a 2. Lee pounced Gargano into Mia Yim, and then Gargano delivered one final beat to Lee onto LeRae, and then when Lee was trying to take care of Candice, Johnny rolled up Lee for the win. Decent match. Nothing special whatsoever. It looks like they're continuing Johnny Gargano versus Keith Lee. Again, I don't like the fact that they pinned Keith Lee. I thought that was terrible. I thought that really made Keith Lee look weak. It really did it did play into the heel character of Candice and Johnny, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, I did not like the fact that they pretty much put it out there that this was going to continue, considering what happened at TakeOver. And then on top of that, they pinned the North American champion. And I don't think anyone really believes that Johnny would be able to hold down Keith Lee, a man of Keith Lee's size, for the 1, 2, 3. Indus Sher, they returned. Indus Sher, Rinku and Sudoff is back. Mike Reed and Mikey Delbray, they were on the receiving end of a massacre from Indus Sher. We had an elbow drop, sidewalk slam combination for the win. Indus Sher, I'm willing to give a chance. Of course, we really shouldn't get our hopes up, considering we all know what happened to Sanity. We all know what happened to AOP. It'll happen to Indus Sher. Indus Sher. Actually, very, very fun little squash we had over here. Imperium versus Breezango. We have the NXT Tag Team titles on the line next week. Can't wait to see that. Rhea Ripley was approached by Robert Stone. This led to her slamming Stone into a garbage, into a huge dumpster. She punched him in the nuts and then tossed him in the garbage. Robert Stone looked like he hasn't showered in 3 weeks. Cameron Grimes versus Finn Balor. This was a damn good match. Cameron Grimes, once again, I've been a huge advocate for Cameron Grimes. Every single time Cameron Grimes steps into the ring, Cameron Grimes will give you a damn good performance. Cameron Grimes is one of the most underrated guys that they have on the NXT roster. Look at the people that he's been in the ring with. Matt Riddle, Johnny Gargano, Keith Lee, Dominik Dijakovic, Finn Balor. Every single time, he puts on a damn good performance. You can't discredit a guy like Cameron Grimes. You really can't. So Cameron Grimes, he was on the receiving end of a double foot stomp by Balor. We had a sling blade and a woo drop kick. Balor missed the coup de grace, and Grimes with a sidewalk slam for a 2. We had a reverse 1916 for a 2, coup de grace and a 1916 for the win. And then Finn Balor said, Keith Lee, when you're done playing house, come and see me. I don't like the fact that they're putting Finn Balor versus Keith Lee, because realistically, Finn Balor, he does not need the North American Championship. And if Finn Balor is going to take on Keith Lee, then this could very well mean that Finn Balor is going to beat Keith Lee, because Johnny isn't beating Lee. If Finn Balor is mentioning Keith Lee by name, they're obviously going to build towards Finn Balor versus Keith Lee. And Finn Balor is going to be in top contention for the North American Championship, when realistically he should be in top contention for the NXT Championship. Finn Balor could end up winning the NXT Championship, or the NXT North American Championship. Realistically, Finn Balor should be the one putting people over. That's why I didn't like the fact that he went over Priest, and he did go over Priest. So then I pitched the idea of having him and Adam Cole face off at NXT TakeOver in August before SummerSlam, and they didn't do that. Now they're shoving Karrion Kross into that scenario. KC Catanzaro versus Dakota Kai. Kai wins with the go-to kick, nothing too crazy. And then Kai called out Io, said she's coming for the women's title. I don't know why they're doing this, considering that she took the loss at TakeOver in Your House. I don't think that Kai is going to be a credible challenger for Dakota Kai. Kai's not going to be a credible challenger for Io, especially in this type of scenario. If you're going to put her against Io within a month versus in 2 months, realistically it should be Rhea, because Rhea Ripley has never gotten her one-on-one rematch. I don't really know what they're going to do. Realistically, Tegan Nox could be the one to do it, because Tegan Nox, she's been gaining some momentum. I'm actually shocked that they're actually making a right decision and they're actually putting Tegan Nox and Shotzi Blackheart against the women's tag team champions, which I hope will be Sasha and Bayley. I hope that they don't lose the titles. So then Carter comes out to help Casey, but she ended up getting dropped by Raquel. Raquel Gonzalez, this is your weekly. Raquel Gonzalez is atrocious statement. El Hijo del Fantasma. He came out to address his Cruiserweight Championship title win. So Drake Maverick then came out, and he says that Fantasma deserves to be champion, but he says that he knows that he can beat Fantasma now that he has a clear head. Fantasma says, sí, claro que sí. But before anything could happen, the two masked men that have been abducting people, they come out. Fantasma, he revealed the two masked men to be working for him. And the masked men and Fantasma, they attack Maverick. The masked men reveal themselves to be Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza, who we thought they were kidnapped. Fantasma then delivers the Phantom Driver. He unmasks himself, and he puts Drake Maverick's head right between his ankles, and he puts his arms out as if he's Seth Rollins. He's channeling his inner Monday Night Messiah. He puts his arms out, puts Maverick's head between his ankles, And he says, I'm going to attempt to say it in his accent. So bear with me. He goes, I am Santos Escobar. I'm the NXT Cruiserweight Champion. And no one can touch me. And then Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde, they delivered double splashes. And they all stand tall over Drake Maverick. I thought this was very, very, very well done. I think that Santos Escobar, I think that this storyline that they got going with the Masked Men and Santos Escobar, he's the one that orchestrated everything, and now he's NXT Cruiserweight Champion. I think that this is actually a great storyline. The fact that Maverick is still in the Cruiserweight Championship title hunt after we have Tozawa, Swerve, Nice, and Kushida in there, that's ridiculous in its own right. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to discredit Drake Maverick. I'm not trying to say that Drake Maverick does not deserve to be in a prime position. But after that shitty storyline and them rehiring Drake Maverick, capitalizing on his real life emotion and all that, we already went over that. I'm not going into that. But this storyline, I think that this is actually going to work out very well. And I actually like this stable. This actually looks like a great stable. Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde, now they have direction. Before, they were just two great wrestlers floating around doing nothing. They were just two great wrestlers pretty much acting as enhancement talent. Now they have a sense of direction. And you got Santos Escobar as the NXT Cruiserweight Champion. Now you have Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde. Now they could benefit as a tag team. They could be the tag team of the stable. We know that the NXT Tag Team division, they're slowly starting to come back together. Now you can have Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde in a position where they could add to the tag team division. Now you got Indus Sher, who really are starting to come into their own. You got Imperium as the champions, Breezango, Undisputed Era, they're not going anywhere. You got Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, and now you got Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza in this new heel role. They're two great wrestlers, and now they have a sense of direction. Now they have great characters that we could get behind, and we could have a hostile takeover. This is great. This is only going to benefit NXT. It's going to benefit the tag team division. This is going to benefit Raul Mendoza, Joaquin Wilde, and Santos Escobar. I like it. Adam Cole versus Dexter Lumis. This is a fairly decent main event here. Cole with a backstabber to Lumis for a 2. Lumis with the corner clothesline and a bulldog. Slingshot suplex for a 2. Cole with a super kick for a close 2 count. Big spine buster by Lumis for a 2. Fish got involved with a shot to the back of the neck while the ref was distracted with Roddy. Last shot for the win. Lumis then rose from the dead as if he was the Undertaker and put Adam Cole in the modified triangle choke. And then Undisputed Era tried to come out and help Cole before the Velveteen Dream came out. Velveteen Dream, they fended off Fish and Strong before Adam Cole. He was in the ring, and then he looked up the ramp and saw Scarlet, the Angel of Doom, come out. She put an hourglass in the ring, flipped it upside down, as the crowd was chanting Fall and Pray and Tick Tock. Decent main event, but again, I don't understand why you shafted the Velveteen Dream. You didn't give him the championship after all that you've built him up to be. And not only that, you're not even calling him up to the main roster, so you're just leaving him there. Why did you do that? I don't understand why you're rushing Karrion Kross as well. I already talked about this with the news that we had with Velveteen Dream not being called up. You take a look at all these individuals. Tommaso Ciampa, Velveteen Dream, Finn Balor, all of these individuals that have been built up, all these individuals that have been in positions where they could be challenging for the NXT Championship. Even Johnny Gargano is in a better position. Keith Lee, even though he's the North American Champion. Why not you? You could have built up Dominik Dijakovic as well. I'm still questioning why you're calling Dominik Dijakovic up to Monday Night Raw or SmackDown. He hasn't even gotten started in NXT. You could have easily put Dominik Dijakovic in that position. You could have built up Dominik Dijakovic. I don't understand. Doesn't make any sense. You're putting Karrion Kross in there pretty much because of the way that he looks. You're pretty much looking at Karrion Kross and you're saying, okay, he looks like a world champion just because of that. You could have easily given him the North American Championship from Keith Lee, like I had already stated. And if you wanted to, you could have had him vacate the title, say, fuck this title, after he had a long, lengthy reign with the title, and then you could have given him the NXT Championship. Hell, he doesn't even need the NXT Championship, this Karrion Kross. He doesn't need a championship, period. Yes, he could go up to the main roster and he'd be fine. I understand that. And I understand Triple H may be apprehensive that Vince wants to take Karrion Kross away from him because Vince McMahon loves the look of Karrion Kross. But at the end of the day, in a way, that's kind of a cheap move. That's a cheap move for Triple H, and you're really sacrificing and shafting a lot of individuals. Because, why? You don't have the balls to stand up to your father-in-law? You don't have the balls to stand up to Vince McMahon and say, no, you're not taking Karrion Kross away from me. I have got plans for Karrion Kross, and you are not going to deter them? You don't have the balls to stand up to Vince McMahon? You don't have the balls to say something to Vince? This is why I said that it almost seems as though Triple H, it seems like he's just going along with what Vince McMahon wants him to go along with. He's just going along with what Vince McMahon wants him to go along with because of the simple fact that he wants to remain in good graces with Vince McMahon. That's why I said that when he was talking about Charlotte. He was talking about Charlotte and he was making all these excuses for Charlotte and how Charlotte wasn't pinned and she's in this position because she's earned it, blah, blah, blah. It seems as though he's doing that because that's what Vince McMahon wants him to say. It seems as though he's become a yes man. He's just become like Bruce Pritchard. And that I don't like at all. SmackDown. Realistically, outside of a decent tag team match between the New Day and Cesaro and a classic that we saw between Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles, you didn't miss anything. It wasn't necessarily a bad show, but outside of those two things, you could have easily skipped the show. Hardy and Sheamus, they had a contract signed to kick off the show. Now, I didn't mind this because I didn't know what we were going to get. I didn't understand what we were going to get. And Sheamus, he brought out a doctor, some security. Sheamus said that he convinced the management to give a urine test to Jeff Hardy before he signed the contract. Hardy said that he's tired of fighting. He said his demons are starving, and he said that he's going to be a beacon of light for everyone who struggles with addiction. Sheamus says to the audience, as Jeff Hardy's doing his business, that if you're a user, you're a loser. Sheamus continued to mock Hardy, and then Hardy says sometimes it's better to be pissed off than pissed on. And then he threw the piss at Sheamus. And then the test results obviously came back negative. The promo work wasn't bad. I'm not saying that the promo work was bad, but the entirety of this entire contract signing was for Sheamus to convince them to give Hardy a piss test. And on top of that, wouldn't it have made more sense to have the piss test on the day of Backlash? Wouldn't that have made more sense? This was ridiculously embarrassing for both men. Apple juice or not, this was ridiculously embarrassing. This was completely unnecessary. If you just wanted to have these two go out there, cut a promo, and talk about the match, fine. But this entire segment with the piss test and the apple juice being thrown at Sheamus, fake or not, unnecessary, embarrassing. And it just goes to show you that even Bruce and Vince couldn't help that there was an actual decent storyline on SmackDown. Vince is like, oh, wait a second, the crowd, they're enjoying this storyline between Hardy and Sheamus. They're actually saying it's good. No, we can't have that. No, we're going to have Jeff Hardy, do a piss test, quote unquote. We're going to have Sheamus get drenched in apple juice. That's what we're going to do. They couldn't help themselves. One decent storyline on SmackDown, and they do something to ruin it before the actual blow-off at the pay-per-view. And more likely than not, Jeff Hardy and Sheamus will probably be the best match on Backlash. New Day versus Cesaro and Shinsuke. This wasn't necessarily bad. It was a decent tag team match, but champions, it wouldn't be WWE. It wouldn't be WWE if the champions didn't lose. if champions didn't consistently lose on television to set up title matches at later dates. Kingston was launched over the top rope, taking out Shinsuke. Actually started out very fast-paced, did this match. Big E got uppercutted by Cesaro going into commercial. I don't know why I said it like that. I'm not even going to edit that out. That just goes to show you, I'm slowly losing my sanity talking about this shit show. Kingston got the hot tag. SOS for a 2. Shinsuke got the knees up, off the crossbody, and rolled up Kofi for the win. Match wasn't bad, but Cesaro and Shinsuke, they've been nothing but lackeys for Sami Zayn for God knows how long. They were pretty much treated like jobbers after Sami Zayn left because he wasn't working the television tapings after WrestleMania. They've been losing and losing and losing. I don't think Cesaro has won one match in the last year. And now, they beat the New Day. Probably their first victory in months. Her first victory in months. And here they are, first victory in months, and they beat the New Day. We'll probably get a tag team title match, either at Backlash or sometime down the line. How is anyone supposed to take them as credible? No matter how good the tag team title match will be. And it'll probably be a great tag team title match. Who knows? Yeah, it's going to be a great tag team title match. Who am I kidding? All 4 of these guys are great in-ring performers. More than that, this is going to be a great tag team championship match. Bar none. But who cares at the end of the day? Who gives a shit at the end of the day? At the end of the day, this is nothing more than WWE constantly reverting back to the same shit over and over again because they don't know anything else, because they don't want to take some time to build up credible challengers, and they don't want to make their champions feel special. They don't want to make their challengers feel special. They don't want to make their show feel special. They don't want to make their titles feel special. They don't want to make anyone feel special. They just want to do the same thing over and over again. They want Vince McMahon wants to do whatever he wants. He wants to do the same thing that he's always done, and he wants Bruce Pritchard to say, yes, you're doing great. He wants Bruce Pritchard to kneel down, bow at his feet, kiss his $1,000 shoes, and tell him that he's doing no wrong. Paul Heyman, nothing more than a scapegoat. Now Bruce Pritchard's running both shows. Like I said, it's only a matter of time before Bruce Pritchard is running NXT for Triple H. Only a matter of time. Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles for the Intercontinental Championship in the tournament finals. A lot of people were saying that this was a 5-star classic. These guys went 40 minutes. You know something? I would not even be mad. I would not even be mad, and I am not even going to complain if they do rate this 5 stars. If Meltzer gives us 5 stars, so be it. So be it. I would not even complain. This was exactly what it was supposed to be. This was an excellent story. Spectacular match. Beautiful story from bell to bell. I absolutely loved it. The only thing that I did not like is the fact that it wasn't on Backlash. Not only that, I'm sorry, this needs to be pointed out. Not only was this not on Backlash, and I know that some people are saying to me, oh, but you can't have the greatest wrestling match ever with Edge and Orton when this match is on Backlash. That argument is irrelevant. That argument is as invalid as you could possibly get. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit if Edge and Orton is... It doesn't matter what match is on the show. You could put any match on the show. You could label this card the worst card that you could possibly have. You could have Jinder versus Big Show on the show. You could have Macho Man Randy Savage raised from the dead. He could fight Andre the Giant, raise him from the dead as well. You could literally put any match on this show. It would not matter. Because Edge and Orton, at the end of the day, it is not going to be the greatest wrestling match ever. And we know this. They set the bar far too high with this cheesy-ass tagline. It doesn't matter what happens on the show, because Edge and Orton is not going to be the greatest wrestling match ever. This match between Bryan and Styles should have been on Backlash, because it would have given Backlash a sense of importance. Because right now, as we speak, out of the 7 matches that we have on Backlash's card, What reason does anyone have to watch Backlash? Oh, Bobby Lashley in a WWE Championship match with Drew McIntyre. Nia Jax is getting a shot at the Raw Women's title. The Iconics and Alexa Bliss, they're fighting for the Women's Tag Team titles in a triple threat match that realistically should not even be taking place. Wow, great card we got over there. What reason? There is no reason. I don't think anyone with a brain, anyone with a brain cell, can actually pinpoint a legitimate reason for us to watch Backlash. There's only one of two reasons that people are watching Backlash. Number one, because people are loyal fans and they want to make themselves aware of what's going on. And number two, you're either a podcaster, a content creator, or some type of YouTuber or a Twitch streamer, and you want to get content for your channel because it's going to help grow your channel and it's going to help get your channel or your podcast or whatever brand you're operating out into the eyes of more people. That's exactly why I'm watching it, because I want to cover it and I want to get my content out there and continue to expand my brand and continue to expand my channel. That's what I want to do. That's the only reason why I'm watching it. Outside of those two reasons, we're not watching it because we enjoy it. We're watching it because it's a force of habit. We're watching it because we're either getting content for our channels, or if you're a wrestling fan, you're watching it out of habit to make yourself aware of what's going on because you want to be aware of everything that's going on in the world of professional wrestling. It's not because you enjoy it. Who enjoys shit? This is shit. Instead of putting it on Backlash, where it would have made the title, the tournament, and the pay-per-view feel important, you don't do that, and now you don't even have it in the main event of SmackDown. A worthless episode of SmackDown. SmackDown, which is the bottom of the barrel. The bottom of the barrel when it comes to wrestling programs in the world right now in 2020. And this match, this classic, this match that was better than 90% of what we got at WrestleMania, and you're not even having this match main event the show. Good job. Good job. Minus all that bullshit, this was amazing. This was beautiful. Professional wrestling at its finest. This match could have easily main evented any show throughout the course of the year. And it could very well go down as the best match of the pandemic era, considering the story told in the ring. I don't think we will find a match with a better story told in between those ropes than Bryan and Styles. These two gave you 138% of themselves in that ring, to a point where I don't think anyone can complain about the outcome, anyone can complain about the match. The only thing that we can complain about is that it wasn't in the main event and that it wasn't on Backlash. Those are the only two things that we can legitimately, validly complain about. Bryan and Styles, very technical to start off the match. Back and forth roll-ups midway through. Bryan sent Styles arm first into the post. So the left arm was the target of Daniel Bryan. That was the first layer of the story. Then Styles wrenched on the left leg of Daniel Bryan. So the leg was the storyline for Daniel Bryan throughout this match. The leg, another layer added on top. Bryan with the Hurricane Rana off the top, clutching at his leg. Big barrage of strikes and a huge clothesline by Styles, sending Bryan inside out. Bryan with the roundhouse kick for a 2. Big back superplex by Bryan, going into a fourth commercial. This is another reason why I said it should have been on Backlash. 4 commercials. It was a great match. It was an excellent match, a spectacular match, but 4 commercials really halted the momentum of this match. And that's why it should have been on Backlash. We had a big moonsault reverse DDT by Styles for a 2. Pele kicking a brainbuster for a 2. Bryan then locked in the yes lock, but Styles was able to get to the ropes. Bryan was caught off the running knee, and Styles delivered the Styles Clash. Went to the apron, delivered the phenomenal forearm. An excellent match. Beautiful story told from bell to bell. AJ Styles is the new Intercontinental Champion. Surprised by the outcome, I, as did many people, thought that Daniel Bryan was going to win the Intercontinental title. Now, why didn't he win the title? I do believe his contract is coming up in September of 2020, if I'm not mistaken. He hasn't signed a new deal. I believe he wants a part-time schedule. And I believe he wants a part-time schedule mainly because his wife, Brianna, is pregnant with their second child and he wants some time off so that way he can care for his wife and raise his second child, which is understandable. And in that case, that's why he didn't win the Intercontinental title. I don't have a problem with that. Bryan is probably going to take some time off right now to care for his wife and to help prepare for their second child. Makes sense. Where does Styles go from here? Now, some people were pitching Matt Riddle, who's actually debuting next week on SmackDown. I would not put Matt Riddle up against AJ Styles this early. I don't understand why anyone would. Matt Riddle, realistically, should be the guy to take the Intercontinental title off of AJ Styles in the fall. So why are you going to put Matt Riddle in there with AJ Styles this early? Can't do that. If anything, Matt Riddle should win the title in December in TLC, and he can go into 2021 as the Intercontinental Champion. I would actually give the first shot to either Drew Gulak or Chad Gable. Drew Gulak did pin AJ Styles last week, so they could be setting up for Drew Gulak versus AJ Styles, which in this case, I wouldn't mind. You could have Drew Gulak as Styles' first challenger. Chad Gable's another one. Chad Gable, he's great at what he does. He's been on a winning streak. He beat Cesaro. He won a 6-man tag team match. You can have Chad Gable in there, and you could have Chad Gable in there with AJ Styles. They put on a great match on SmackDown, actually, back in 2017. You could do that again. You could do that again. You could have Chad Gable go out there, give you a great match with AJ Styles. That would definitely bring more prestige back to the Intercontinental title. This match was a huge step in the right direction. This match was a huge step in the right direction. 40 minutes, making the Intercontinental title feel that much more prestigious. So AJ Styles wins the Intercontinental title for the first time in his career. Now you have Drew Gulak, you have Chad Gable. 2 challengers right there that can get you through the summer. And then in the summer, you build up some more challenges. You could possibly have another rematch with Shinsuke. I wouldn't mind that because AJ Styles and Shinsuke put on a great match on SmackDown not too long ago. You could have Sheamus in there. You could have Jeff Hardy in there. You could have Cesaro in there if you wanted to. Why not? I wouldn't mind that whatsoever. And then, when the time's right, Matt Riddle, after he's been built up for 6-7 months, then you put him against AJ Styles, and you can have him win the Intercontinental title. He can be Intercontinental Champion going into WrestleMania. No problem. But I thought the story being told here was amazing. I thought they did an excellent job, an exceptional match. Styles wins. I don't think anyone can complain about the outcome, and more likely than not, we'll see Chad Gable and Drew Gulak as AJ Styles' first challengers. So as from there, Daniel Bryan, he was clutching his leg, and then Styles cut an interview, said that he's phenomenal, nice and simple. Then we move into a celebration between Bayley and Sasha, celebrating their women's tag team title victory from last week. Bliss and Cross interrupt, the Iconics pop up on the screen, and then Nikki and Bliss, they attack Bayley and Sasha, and that was it. Who cares? Then in the main event, we had Braun Strowman and Heavy Machinery. Tucker Tucker is alive. They took on Dolph Ziggler, Miz, and Morrison. Corbin was actually in the back talking to Mandy. Otis got involved. He left the match, and he took out Corbin. Strowman and Otis, they came back. Otis got the hot tag. Strowman then pounced Miz and Morrison. Caterpillar to Dolph, and a win. And this match main evented over the Intercontinental Championship match, right? This match, this worthless 6-man tag, main evented over the Intercontinental Championship. Once again, well done. Well done. 205 Live, if you guys even care. I've been here for like 45 minutes plus already. An hour and 45 minutes plus already. We're approaching 2. I don't think anyone really cared about 205 Live. This show was actually terrible. 205 Live was atrocious this week. If there's one show that has really, really suffered from the pandemic era, it is 205 Live. 205 Live, even a little bit before this pandemic started, 205 Live was actually putting on some fairly decent matches, and they were giving us some fairly decent material. They were giving us some fairly decent material after SmackDown on Fox. But recently, they've been terrible. Ever Rise defeated Leon Ruff and Adrian Alanis. Assisted lung blower for the win. I don't think anyone gives a shit about Ever Rise. You're not going to build Ever Rise's credibility on 205 Live. They're a jobber tag team. I don't think anyone cares. Isaiah Swerve Scott, Oney Lorcan, and Danny Burch, they defeated Tony Nese, Jack Gallagher, and Tahuti Miles. Miles was in control of Lorcan before Swerve got the hot tag, rolled through Flatliner for a 2. Nese and Gallagher actually walked out on Miles. Swerve got the win off the confidence boost, and that was it. Very standard, very WWE main roster-like. I don't think anyone gives a shit about 205 Live right now. And speaking of which, I actually don't give a shit about 205 Live so much that I actually need to get a new notebook. I need to get a new notebook because I'm currently out of pages. These are the last 3 pages of this notepad, of the Storms pad. So I'm going to need to get a new one at some point. So bear with me there. But ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this edition of the Lightning Flash Update. Lots of shit to go over, as per usual. I would like to thank each and every single one of you who tuned into this video. I greatly appreciate it. It definitely means a lot. You guys have absolutely no idea. And ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Check out all the links in the description. Like, comment, and subscribe as per usual. Let's keep the momentum going. Let's keep the momentum going as far as the brand goes. Keeping going. Be sure to hit that subscribe button as always. Like and comment. Notifications bell. All the social media links in the description. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the one and only DJ Storms. This has been the not the rundown. The rundown was yesterday, actually. See, I'm already losing my mind because I'm talking about so much other shit. This has been the Lightning Flash Update for June 13th. 2020. We got Backlash tomorrow. I'll be live tweeting. The rewind for Backlash, of course, will be up on Monday afternoon. And then next week, of course, is the Lightning Flash Update where I am not planning on reviewing Raw and SmackDown. It'll save me a hell of a lot of time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. And I will catch you tomorrow for Backlash and Monday for the rewind for WWE Backlash 2020. God bless you. Thank you guys for everything. I greatly appreciate it. You guys have an awesome weekend.